Hello everyone, welcome back. Part 6, I think. Let's get in here. Wait, does she grant me magic now? That's pretty good, isn't it? Give me magic, please. Oh, excuse me. Whew. Oh, chatto. So she knows Tattle's name. Chatto, そして、姿を変えられた親切な若者よ. So そして here kind of just means and. I've found that people tend to use そして before the last item in a list or the last person in a list. But yeah, I think it just means like, yeah, I think it just means and, basically. Chatto, そして、姿を変えられた. So this is just the passive form of 変える, which means to change something. So 変えられた is to have been changed. And sugata, as we've said before, is like form. So form, being changed. Shinsetsu meaning just kind, basically. Shinsetsu na is a na adjective, so we need na to add it to the noun. And then wakamono just means young lad or young one, young person. And then yo, as she kind of said before when she was all split up. Yo is just kind of adds emphasis and gets our attention and addresses us. So yeah, chatto そして姿を変えられた親切な若者よ. Was I going to add anything? No, don't think so. バラバラになった体を元に戻してくれてありがとう. So as we said, bara is all like separated up into little bits. Naru means to become. And natta is the past tense of that. So bara ni natta karada. It's all modifying the karada, which means body. I suppose we need the rest of this though, to be honest. Yeah, moto meaning original state or original form or like back to origin or yeah, but you know, back to how it was. Ni modosu, as we've discussed, means to put back, to put something back or to return something. And modoshite kurete, I think we've seen it before in the past parts, like te kureru. Just like it just means that we did it for her. So because she's talking, she says kurete, because we did it for her. So she considers that to be kind of done downwardly for her by default. Kurete arigato, which just means thank you. Using the te form of a verb and then arigato just kind of means thank you for doing that. So I don't know. I suppose you could say oshiete kurete arigato, which means thank you for telling me. Thank you for teaching me. Yeah. Just I used kurete again, but you could just use. No, I think normally you would use kurete. Kite kurete. Kite kurete arigato. Just like thank you for coming. Kite kurete arigato. Thank you for listening, I suppose. Yeah, so that's pretty standard form, all of this. But yeah, so she's saying thank you. It almost goes precisely backwards, does it? Thank you for returning. Oh, no, not quite. To original. The body that became all like separated up, I suppose. Obviously, she's talking about her own body, though, but in English we would need to specify that, but in Japanese it seems you don't have to. Watashi wa maho no daiyosei. I, magic, these two together, basically. I think, like, ma is kind of usually means of, like, magic and mysticism, perhaps, and those sorts of things. And ho kind of means school. Or study, the study of something. So Maho is kind of like the school of magic, or the study of magic. And then Daiyose, meaning just great fairy. The great fairy of the study or the school of magic, or the great fairy of magic. Pretty simply. Oh, I remember asking about this, I think. Watashi to shita koto ga あの子だと思って油断をしてしまいました。I don't like this grammar. としたこと。I think I've asked about it already. 私としたこと。あの子だと思って。I believe this first bit, 私としたことが, it means like unlike me. Unlike. Maybe unlike how I am expected to be. Unlike how I am judged by others. No, I don't know. I think I've asked about it before, and it was kind of like unlike how I normally am, or unlike me. あの子だと思って. That, like child, it is or it was, I thought. 油断をしてしまいました. Yudan is like to let your guard down. It's like to slip up, I suppose. Yudan. I might be able to put this... I might try to remember to put this in kanji when I add it to the text document. I might just comment it on like the right side of the document or something, but yudan wo shite shimaimashita. So I think, yeah, like yudan wo suru just means like to kind of slip up, or to make a mistake, or to be negligent or whatever. She kind of let her guard down, I guess, and then was turned into you know, like 15 different fairies, or however many it is. Watashi to shita koto ga あの子だと思って Honestly, not really sure what's going on. I'm going to have to ask about that, I think. Yeah, no, I'll just ask about it. I don't know what's going on there, really. 今の私にはこれくらいしかできませんが、お礼にあなたに魔力を授けましょう。I'm a bit lost. I'm good with this, but I just think... Yeah, that last text box just threw me off a bit. Ima no watashi, so the current me, basically. Ni wa. This kind of means like for the current me. If it was a different me, if it was maybe in the past before I got separated up, or if it were in the future after I get my strength back, it would be a different story. But to the current me, having just been sort of revived or whatever, maybe she's a bit weak. So to the current me, this, kind of in this case, I think kurai means like around this, about this much, about what I'm about to do, about this, what I'm about to give you is kind of all I can do at the moment, I suppose, is the vibe of this. Kore kurai shika, there's shika again. Dekimasen, you notice it's negative still, right? It's like I cannot do anything except for about this. And she's talking about the current her. The current me cannot do anything but around this much. Ga here, I believe, is just acting as like a but. It's like, I can't do anything but this, but anyway, but despite that. Ole ni, like as thanks, quite simply. Ole ni, as thanks. Yeah, as a reward, as thanks. Anata ni, to you. Malyoku, magic power. Sazukemashou. Sazukeru, meaning to confer. Sorry, excuse me. To like confer onto. To grant, to award, or to teach. So to grant, basically. I grant you magic power. Yeah, you don't really get this word. You won't be using this word in like casual Japanese or anything, but perhaps it is used when you're given like a reward. Sorry, not a reward, an award maybe at work. You might get sazuketad, an award, I think, but it seems quite formal, or at least proper Japanese. But she is speaking proper Japanese, so it makes sense. Sa uketori nasai. That's interesting. Interesting verb form to use. So sa just meaning like now then, with that. Well now, I suppose. Uketoru means just to like receive something. Yeah, to receive or to accept something. Uketori nasai. Take the stem of the verb and add nasai on the end, and it gives it a kind of a slightly authoritative sort of, again, I said it before, kind of motherly vibe to it. Take it now, I guess. Hand it over. Yeah. Malyoku wo sazukatta. Okay, so that's like the complete other way round. So sazukeru is to give something to someone, I suppose, or to grant or reward something to someone. And sazukaru, I suppose, is to receive. Yeah, to be awarded. To be gifted. Or whatever, to be given an award, a sazukaru, sazukatta. So you were awarded or given, although it's kind of funny to say you were, because this isn't really passive. It's just, I suppose, in transit. Oh no. Oh, it says transitive verb. Feels like it should be intransitive. Oh well. Anyway, so basically we received magic power. Ima no sugata nara bi wo oseba shabon dama. Shabon dama. Shabon is a bubble, I guess, and tama usually means like a bullet or a bomb or a shell. You know, that sort of thing. Bullet, bomb, just like a projectile, I guess. Tama. But because the un is here, shabon, it's easier to change the ta into da for the pronunciation here. So shabon dama, I think. Shabon tama is too hard to say. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as easily. So shabon dama feels right. And that happens quite a bit in Japanese. You'll just have consonants getting changed sounds depending on the noise before it. Shabon dama. So I think we've seen most of this. B wo oseba, so kind of if you press B. And again, there's no verb here. It just says if you press B, bubble bullet. Whereas in English, of course, we'd have to say, you know, you can shoot a bubble. You don't need to do that in Japanese. And nara kind of means if. It's kind of another conditional. I suppose it could probably be... Could also maybe also mean when. So when in the current form, or if you are in the current form, pressing B will bubble bullet, or whatever. Shibaraku oshite hanaseba dai shabon, or o shabon. I think it's dai, but this is a really difficult kanji to know the reading of, even though there's only like 3 of them. Mostly, it's tough to know which reading to go for. But anyway, shibaraku just means like for a short time. I believe people often say this if it's been a while since you've seen them. They will say like shibaraku, which means, you know, a short time or a little time, or it's been a little while, or I suppose it has kind of the opposite effect. It's been a while. Which kind of exaggerates the amount of time. But in this case, shibaraku kind of means just for a short time. Oshite, hold it for a short time. And then if you release, hanasu is to release. Not to be confused with hanasu, which is to talk. Probably my inflection on those words is wrong. But yeah, they have kind of the same hiragana in them. But hanaseba, if you release... you'll get a big bubble. But it doesn't say you will get one, it just says if you release, big bubble. There's no verb to go with it, but as we've said, that's fine in Japanese. Tsukayaba malyoku wa hette iku ga maho no tsubo ya kusuri de hokyu kaifaku. So tsukayaba just meaning if you use it or when you use it. Malyoku wa hette iku ga, your magic power. This means like heru means kind of to decrease, basically decrease. So hette iku, and iku just adds like a direction. It will kind of go towards decreasing. Hette iku. That's a bad translation. Ignore what I just said. Hette iku. I suppose like iku means it will just continue to do so. Is that even right? You could probably just see this as saying heru, meaning that it will decrease. Does iku just mean it will keep decreasing as we use it? It's just tough to explain. I think I get the vibe of this. I just don't know how to explain it. Hette iku. Yeah, it's like, I suppose it adds a kind of a future tense kind of vibe to it. It will decrease, and then it will decrease into the future. Like the more you use it, perhaps it will continue to decrease, I guess. Never mind. Just see it as heru. So if you use it, your magic power will decrease, but, this is like a but in this case, Maho no Tsubo. Tsubo is those pots. The pots in Zelda, the little pots that you get, like, you know, whatever, hearts, rupees, fairies sometimes. The pots you get things out of. Tsubo, so they're pots. So magic... Oh, no, sorry. No. Oh, they could be. They could also be pots. But Maho no Tsubo is the magic jars, actually. They're the magic jars that will now spawn in the world that we have magic power. Is what they are. Maho no Tsubo. Ya, just giving like a kind of a non-exhaustive list of objects. So, yeah, magic pots and other things such as kusuri, which just means medicine. In this case, I suppose, very specifically talking about the green medicine that you get, the green potion. Kusuri de. De just meaning by using or by means of or via. So via potion and magic jars. Hokyu means to like store up, I suppose. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, replenish, supply, hokyu, so replenishment via potions and other things such as magic pots. And this dot, in Japanese, I think this is the equivalent of like a slash in English. So in English we'd use a slash and we would say, you know, you can replenish / recover. But Japanese, I think they use, that's what the dot's for, I think, this sort of centralized dot, like this. So you can replenish, and kaifuku just means to recover. Yeah, recover your magic power. Excuse me. Machi no soto ni aru tenmondai ni sunderu hito ga staru kiddo no iru tokoro o shitteiru hazu desu. Okay. So basically we have like town, outside, exist. Tenmondai is just like, I suppose, the telescope. Or astral observatory or whatever, isn't it? Yeah, sorry, yeah. Tenmondai is getting translated as astronomical observatory. So, yeah. I think this first one is like sky. I don't really know why mon is in there, but dai is like a stand or a pedestal from which you do things. So tenmondai. I guess tenmon is just cosmos, is it? Or yeah, astronomy. Astronomy. Maybe this is like the literary study of the skies or something. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah. Sunderu, sumu means to live in a location. It doesn't mean to live as in to not be dead. It means to live, to reside. It means to reside, basically. So sumu means to reside. Sunderu hito. So all of this information is modifying the person here, this hito. So it's the person who lives at the astral observatory that exists outside of town. So it's all working backwards, yeah. So that person will know, or rather should know, the place that the Skull Kid exists in, or where the Skull Kid currently is basically what's going on. Hazu there being the expectation, so he should know. The Great Fairy expects that he will know, and is saying, therefore, the man who lives in the Astral Observatory outside of town should know where the Skull Kid currently is. Tadashi, just kind of meaning but, essentially the same as shikashi, I think. So yeah, it just means but. Tadash. Kiotsuke nasai. Kiotsukeru very simply just means to be careful. I'm not going to go over why, because it's tough to explain, and it's just going to probably create confusion, but yeah, just basically means to be careful. Again, going with nasai, that kind of motherly request kind of vibe to it. Ima no ano ko no chikara wo amaku mite wa ikemasen yo. So all kind of modifying chikara, which means power or abilities, I suppose. And then obviously the direct object thing. Amaku miru, I believe, means literally, it kind of means to look sweetly upon, which is obviously weird. Amaku miru, I suppose it just means like to look at with naive positivity in a weird way. But basically what it means, amaku miru, means to not take seriously or to take lightly, is what my dictionary is saying here. So to underestimate, or to not, like it says, to not take seriously. And this is another way to say must not. as we said in a previous part, naranai is a verb that's kind of always negative, and it means like to be unacceptable. Yeah, basically to just be not unacceptable. And so ikemasen kind of means the same thing. It means to not, it will not fly, I suppose. It will not be acceptable. It will not do. And so, again, it's kind of always negative. At least in this grammar form, it'll always be negative. And so she's saying, like, to look at him, to not take his power seriously will not fly. It will not do. It is unacceptable to not to take his power seriously. Not seriously. The problem is with English is that I'm using another negative in there that's throwing it off. So we'll translate this as meaning underestimate. So underestimating his power is not acceptable, basically. And then ima no ano ko no chikara, the current, that child's power, to underestimate is unacceptable. So you must not underestimate that child's power as he currently is. Shinsetsu na wakamono yo. So that's just addressing us. Kind young one. Moto no sugata ni modoretara kanarazu kinasai. Is that kinasai? I think it is. So original form or original state. To modoretara. Modoretara. Yeah, so I think this is kind of potential form, modoreru, which is kind of to be able to go back. And then tara is like that conditional. So it's like if you are able to go back, or when you are able to go back to your original state. Kanarazu, just kind of meaning definitely. There are lots of words that kind of mean definitely, but that don't really work as substitutes of each other. You can't just substitute one into another, into a place where one works. They don't work in all the same situations, so it's kind of weird to explain, but I think kanarazu means like it's imperative that you do something. Perhaps it doesn't quite mean definitely. It just means it's imperative that you do so. So imperatively come back. You must come back if you are able to get back into your original form. Sono toki, so at that time, I suppose at that time, anata no chikara ni naru mono o sashi agemashou. Chikara ni naru kind of literally, and badly translated kind of means to become your power or to become power. But less literally and a much better translation is just to be useful, to be very helpful. So an item or an object that will be useful to you, I guess. And then sashi ageru means to give to. And again, it's very proper kind of Japanese here. Sashi agemashou is like the very proper Japanese form of volitional form. So often you'll say like mashou to mean let's do something. But I think in this, it can also mean, and in this case does mean, that she has absolutely decided to do this, and so she's kind of saying sashi agemashou, kind of meaning I will do this. I have decided to do this, so I absolutely will do it. Sashi agemashou. Because I just think it would be weird for her to say let's give you something. Or at least it doesn't translate well to think of it like that in English. So I think if you have absolutely decided to do something and insist on doing it, then you use this volitional form, sashi agemashou. which just for the sake of completeness, I suppose, in casual Japanese would be like sashi agero, which you would never say, probably. So yeah. So she's going to give us something really useful at that time when we have returned to our original form. Which is, of course, the Great Fairy's Mask, which we do want. I'm going to skip as much text as I can, because it's taken a long time, and honestly, I don't want to get, like, burned out reading. So to avoid that, I'm going to, I'm not going to talk to him before shooting the balloon and stuff like that, you know, because that's just going to wear me out, and I will never finish the series if I do that. Ima watta no omae ka. So ima is like just now, or the thing that happened just now, is kind of often a meaning of saying ima. Watta. Waru is to just like break something, isn't it? Waru. To divide, to cut, to break, to crack, to rip, to split. Loads. There's loads of things. To smash. I think he's missing out a wa in here. It could be watta no wa omae ka. I can't remember when it was. Might have been in part 2. What was the grammar point? No, I can't remember. But basically, you put the verb watta no wa, the breaking of that, or the breaking, and then you can put anything afterwards. You could put a reason, you can put a time, you can put a person, like he's doing. So I think it's watta no wa, but he's omitted the wa. Watta no wa omae ka, like the breaking just now, was that you? Kind of thing. This is funny. Deku natsu. So we're called deku natsu in Japanese, which obviously just sounds like a pack of nuts. Which is ridiculous. But yeah. Deku natsu no kuse ni nakanaka yaru na. I think this kuse, it kind of means not quite habit. Like typical behaviour, I suppose. Typical behaviour of a deku. No kuseni. And it's expressing, obviously... No, yeah, I think it is. I think it's just saying, as dekus are, or considering how dekus usually are, considering dekus' typical behaviour, considering dekus' typical abilities. And then he's saying naka naka yaru na, which is like considerably, I think we've seen this before, considerably you do it, don't you? Which is a really bad translation. That's kind of the form of all these words. But yaru na kind of means like, it means you really go for it, don't you? Or you're really quite capable, aren't you? Yaru na. Which tripped me up a bit, because sometimes using the dictionary form of a verb and then na is quite a rough way of saying don't do that. So it tripped me up in the past, but yaru na is kind of its own phrase, meaning, wow, you're really good, basically. Wow, you really do it. Wow, you're capable. So I suppose the sentence as a whole is, you know, for the typical behaviour or abilities of a deku nut, or of a deku, you're considerably good. You're quite good for a deku. Much more easily translated. But yeah, this kusen ni is often all used together. Kusen ni. So that's what I think it means anyway. Yeah. I feel like I've improved at that grammar point, trying to explain it to everyone actually there. お前なら街の外の天文台にあるボンバーズのアジトに行ける秘密の暗号を。Why do I feel like I've explained all of this before? I really feel like I've already done this series. Don't know why. Anyway, maybe it's all kind of similar grammar and stuff to Ocarina. I don't know. But Omae nara, so he's calling us Omae in the grammatical form of Omae. It's not our name, because it would be written in English letters. But yeah, Omae nara. So kind of, nara kind of means if it's you. Kind of badly translated there, but in your case, I suppose is good. In your case as a Deku Nut, no other Deku Nuts, only you. In your case, Agito is like a hideout, a kind of a secret base of operations, maybe kind of a hideout or a den. Agito. Bombers, so they're the bombers, aren't they? The bombers. It's a shame that they kind of katakanarized it as bombars, because we don't. Obviously, we just say bombers, but bombers. The bombers hideout. 2, and then ikeru is the potential form of iku, so it means can go. There's a lot going on in here. I need to think about how I'm going to order this. Okay, let's start at the end. There's no verb at the end, but there is a direct object particle. So the verb that would be here would be done to the ango, which is like a cipher or a code or a password. Yeah, I just listed all of the dictionary definitions there without even meaning to. So yeah, it's a password, and the verb that comes after it would be teach or tell. I'm going to tell you or teach you. The password, himitsu is secret, and no is just linking those nouns together, or rather the adjective, kind of, to the noun, adjectival noun, I suppose it is. So, fucking hell, how are we getting through this? So he's omitting the verb to teach, but it would be I will teach you the secret code with which you can go to the bomber's hideout that exists in the Astral Observatory outside of town. So that's kind of what's going on. And that's all prefaced with, in your case. In your case, I will teach you the password that allows you to go to the, to the hideout and all that. So that's, well, bloody hell, quite a lot going on there. Tokubetsu ni... Oh, wait, no. He didn't omit the verb. The verb is just in this text box instead. So, tokubetsu ni oshiete yatte mo ii ze. So he's obviously impressed enough with our skills of breaking the balloon that he's saying tokubetsu ni, which means specially or especially or in special circumstances. Tokubetsu ni oshiete yatte mo ii ze. This yaru here, I believe, just roughs up the what he's saying. You could omit this, and he's just saying like, even teaching you that code is cool, is fine, absolutely fine. And the ze at the end, it's a bit like yo. It's just kind of cooler sounding, maybe. Kind of. Kids say it a lot, but yeah, ze or zo. yeah, just kind of sounds maybe cooler. I don't know really. All right, here we go. Dakedo tada ja oshierarenai na. Dakedo just meaning but or however. Tada means like for free, or kind of simply, or merely, or just. So it's like he can't just tell us. I can't just tell you it. And then the na is kind of reflecting to himself. Like, I can't just do that though, can I? It's kind of like the can I at the end. He's saying nah. And this is negative potential form, so I cannot just do it. Oshie rarenai na. Sore nari no testo o ukete morau kara na. Sore nari, I believe, just means like suitable. Yeah, I think it just means suitable. Whoops. The guard at the gate in Ocarina of Time, in at the bottom of Death Mountain, I think he said like sore nari, like a shield, a suitable shield for climbing the mountain would be required. So I think, yeah, quite simply, sore nari just means suitable. So a suitable test, ukete morau, and this just means he will receive our undertaking a suitable test. So he will kind of make us do a test. He will receive our undertaking of a suitable test. And then kara just kind of means because or so, I guess. So he can't just tell us, so I will have you undergo a suitable test. And then na again at the end. That sort of thing. And then kakugo wa ii ka. Kakugo just kind of means like resolution to something. Preparedness for something. Let me just have a look. Kakugo. Resolution, resignation, readiness, preparedness. Yeah. So kakugo wa ii ka. So are your preparations okay? Are your preparations good? Are you ready to go? Cut, just making it into a question, basically. Hoi, just means yes. That's hilarious. And then yosh, just meaning like, alright. Come on. That sort of thing. Yeah, and then yaro domo, which is quite funny. Yaro, I feel like yaro kind of means like rascal. You often put it like at the end of insult words, like baka yaro. It means like you idiot. Yeah, I suppose it just kind of strengthens the word idiot a lot. Baka yaro. It's like you dumb rascal or something. So it's a pretty bad translation, but it's yaro has that kind of rascal feel to it. It doesn't sound as lame in Japanese as rascal does in English, but yeah, has that kind of vibe, I believe. Yaro domo. Oh, also I should probably say these kinds of things being written in katakana like this instead of hiragana doesn't really make any difference. It's just like it might imply that the word has a stronger sound to it, or it might imply, or it might just be used to emphasize the word in a sentence, or it might just not mean anything. It doesn't really make a difference writing it in hiragana or katakana. The actual word yaro is ya-ro-u, but they've just used this stick here to elongate the vowel, so it's yaro domo. Yeah, there's not really any significance to it being written in katakana, and I think that sometimes there'll be words in these games that are written in katakana rather than kanji. In fact, like in the last part with the Great Fairy, she said Yudan, and it was written in katakana. That's just because... Excuse me. I think that's just because kids are unlikely to be able to read the word Yudan in kanji yet, so they just write it in katakana. And it also differentiates the word to the hiragana around it, so you can see where the kanji would have been. There's not much significance to the script used in these games, just so you know. And then domo here is a bit like tachi. It's a pluralizer. So it could, you could see it as being yaro tachi, but domo is a bit ruder. It's, well, not ruder, it's more rough, so less polite, maybe a bit more gangster, I suppose you could see it as, but that's probably the wrong word. Yaro dao. And then atsumaru is to gather somewhere. So he's sort of commanding everyone to gather. Ow. I've really got to move my mic because I keep hitting my hands on it. And this is the imperative form of that. So from atsumaru, it becomes atsumare, which is imperative. Very strong order to do something. Atsumare. So he's saying, all right, all of you rascal guys, gather now, sort of thing. And they all come running over. Oretachi 5人を明日の朝までに全員捕まえられたら暗号を教えてやる。Oretachi, ore, as we've kind of maybe mentioned before, ore is like a kind of a rough and quite male sounding pronoun. Tachi is a pluralizer. I will say, I remember someone I know actually thinking that the first pronoun needs to fit the whole group, the group as a whole, but that's not true. Even if everyone was like a cute little girl other than him, let's say, he could still say oretachi. The first pronoun only applies to you, and then the tachi just means and my party or and my posse kind of thing. So it's like us, but the first pronoun can match only you. Like if I was out with like my girlfriend or something, I could probably say, I could still say oretachi, although I probably wouldn't. But yeah, just so you know. So it's us, gonin meaning just 5 people, us 5. Ashita is tomorrow. Asa is morning, so tomorrow morning. Made ni meaning by tomorrow morning. Zen in just meaning all members or every one of us. Tsukamaya laretara, if you can catch, or yeah, if you can catch us. So this is tsukamaeru meaning to catch. Tsukamaerareru would be the potential form, and tsukamaya laretara is the potential conditional form. So if you can catch us, all 5 of us by tomorrow morning, ango wo oshiete yaru. I will teach you the code. Starting to get a bit faster through these text boxes, I think. Junbi wa ii ka. And junbi is like preparations. And again, yeah, so are your preparations good? Are you ready? Are you good to go? Kind of thing. And then this guy loses sync. Can you shoot these guys with bubbles? I know you can bow them. Does this stun them? It totally does. Awesome. Tsukamatta ato 4人. So tsukamatta obviously just means to be captured. I was captured. And then ato, as we saw in part 5, I believe. Ato meaning remaining, or after, or in 4 people, I suppose. In 4 people the game will end. After 4 people the game will end. 4 people remaining. Yeah, can be quite a useful point to know. I don't want to talk to Tattle. I'm going to skip Tattle because she'll get on my nerves otherwise. I don't want to read everything. Damn it. Let's try again. Pow! So he's saying the same thing, just ato sannin. 3 people remaining. I think you have to shoot this guy twice, right? You have to shoot him twice with the bow, anyway. Cool. Ato futari. 2 people remaining. I think you can get this guy off the roof by going under him. There he goes. Ato hitori as the post boy. Alright, mate. Okay, here we go. Kurokutown Nishi. So yeah, just Clocktown West in this case. Yeah. Ah, Chikusho. Does it skip on its own? I feel like it does for some reason. To Tsukamatta. So Chikusho kind of means like beast, I think, like literally. It's kind of just a curse word. Yeah, Chikusho, beast. Brute. Yeah, is 2 definitions, and then the bottom one, or the bottom 3, says interjection, son of a bitch, for Christ's sake, damn it. So it's just basically a curse word, just saying damn. To kind of is another way of saying like finally. To tsukamatta, like I was finally captured. Dekunatsu no kuse ni yaru janeka. So basically the same thing as he said earlier. For a dekunut, for a deku, you're pretty good, essentially. This jane is just a kind of a slightly rougher way of pronouncing janai. Just sounds kind of cooler. Janeka. Shikash. Oshina. So this is like saying however. And oshi kind of means like... It means it's unfortunate or it's regrettable. Often, I think most often, oshi gets used when you give an answer, maybe in school. You give an answer that's close but not quite right. And in response, people will often go like, oh, oshi, like, oh, you're close, but it's not quite there. And I think in that sense, that's why it means like regrettable. It's like you were so close, such a shame you didn't quite get it. That's how I most often see it. But I guess in this case, it's like such a shame that you're a deku nut because, you know. Well, that's what he's saying. Omae ga ningen dattara, if you were a human. He'd let us into his group or whatever. So ningen means human. Omae ga ningen dattara, that's kind of the conditional, isn't it? If you were a human. Bomba's original... what is this? Dan-in techo. Is that right? Dan-in. So I guess that's like a member of a group. Yeah. Group, member, and then like hand notebook, I suppose. Techo. Or less literally, a notebook or a memo pad. I guess a book that fits in the hand might be what's going on there. So Bomba's original dan-in techo wo watashite nakama ni irete yaru tokoro nandakedo. So as we said, it was like if you were a human in the previous text box, it's like saying this is the place, this is the point in time, this is the part where I would give or pass. Watasu is to like pass over, to hand something to someone. So watasu, to pass a group member notebook, a bomber's original group member notebook, and nakama means like a member or a kind of co-member of a group or something. Nakama ni irete yaru. I suppose ireru means to kind of put into or to enter something into. So it's like I would put you in as a member, kind of quite literally. It means accept as a member, basically. Irete yaru. So this is the point where I would pass you a notebook and accept you as a member, but nan just being that explanatory language again. Dakedo, but this is the point where I would do that. But omaera doumo, and then he's just going, you guys, what do you think? How do you think of it? What do you think about it? And this la is another way to pluralize. So we could have said omae tachi doumo, but he's gone with omaera, which is basically the same thing. Doumo, what do you think? And they're all going dame, dame, meaning unacceptable, no, 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 definitely not, sort of thing. So da yo na. So this is him going like that is so. As we said before, it's kind of the same as the English so. That is so, isn't it? Like he's kind of agreeing with them. He's like, so da yo na. Yeah, isn't that so though? Kind of thing. He's kind of responding to them and saying, you're right. Yes, that is the case. So da yo na. Ichido ningen janai yatsu wo irete koitsura hidoi me ni atteru kara. Okay. There's quite a bit going on in this sentence here. Ichido just meaning one time. Ningen janai yatsu. So a guy who is not a human. A non-human guy. Irete, we sort of put them in for membership, or we allowed them to be a member. One time we let a non-human be a member. Koitsura, referring to all of these guys. Koitsura, that pluralizer again, la. Koitsura, these guys, hidoi me ni atteru kara. And in this case, this is kind of, it's not really present continuous. The iru means like presently, but it means they are presently in a state of having met a horrible fate, as like the mask salesman said to us. So they have experienced, they are now presently experienced of having met, a bad like situation, having come to a bad experience, having had a bad experience. And then kara just meaning like because at the end of the sentence, which happens quite a lot in Japanese. So in English you'd put this at the start, it would be like, yeah, that's right, isn't it? Because one time we let a non-human in and all of these guys, had a really bad time of it. They had a bad experience doing so they're not going to do it again. Kanben na. Kanben basically means forgiveness, or pardon, forgiveness, forbearance is what my dictionary says. So na is kind of a rough rhetorical way of going, asking for forgiveness, like forgive us, yeah. I suppose that's probably the best way to translate it, is like yeah with a question mark. Forgive us, alright? Forgive us, okay? Forgive us, yeah? Kanben na. Dakedo, yakusoku dori ango dake wa oshiete yaru. So dakedo meaning just but or however. Yakusoku is just a promise. I'm not going to go into why, but yeah, it just means a promise. Dori. Dori is like... Dori means way. So it's kind of like the way it was promised, I suppose, as promised. According to the promise is what's going on there, I suppose. Yakusoku dori. Ango dake wa, the password only. Oshiete yaru, I will teach you. Excuse me. Ikkai shika oshienai kara yoku mitoke yo. Ikkai is just one time. Shika means like nothing but one time, I suppose. Oshienai. So I will not teach you except for one time. Ikkai shika oshienai kara, meaning like so, or because I will not teach you except for once. Look well, look closely, pay attention. And this is that same grammar form as before. In part one, no, part two, I think it was. The Skull Kid said stetoit. What was it? Stetoiteyatta, which was steoku. This is mite oku, meaning to do the verb in preparation for the future. To do the verb in preparation for when it's needed in the future. Mite oku. But rather than saying mite oku, you just say mitoku, because it's shorter and easier to say. However, it's not even mite oku or mitoku, it's mitoke, which is the imperative form of oku. So we got mitoke. So it's very strongly commanding us to pay attention and watch their reveal of the code, so that we don't have to do it again in the future, kind of thing. And then the yo just adding emphasis, and then ika just being like, you know, okay, essentially. Okay, ready? Is that all right? 15243. Okay. Ango wa 15243 da ze. So the passcode is this. And wasurenayo. So wasureru is to forget. And wasureru na is like don't forget. And as we said before, the dariru de do line often gets switched into n's when it's with another n sound, so it just becomes wasurenayo. And there you go, don't forget it. Oretachi no himitsu no ajito no... Oh no, yeah. Oretachi no himitsu no ajito no ruto wa town no higashi ni aru ze. It's interesting that they're saying route, like I would pronounce route. I know a lot of Americans would say route, but the Japanese adopted route as their language, into their language, like I would say. Yeah. So, Oretachi no, our secret hideout route, exists in the town's east, or the east of town. Cool. Well, I better leave it there, because this one's been really long. So yeah, I'll just finish. Thanks for watching. Hope it was worthwhile, and I'll see you next time.